Hi, Timothy Unkert here. Welcome to part 2 of my Python programming tutorial in late 2022. Okay, I'm going to get started and we'll start this tutorial talking about strings and string methods. If you haven't seen my previous tutorial, you want to check that out. I'll leave a link for that in the description. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is create a new file. It's going to be a Python file here. And we're going to go along with the naming convention that I followed in the last video. So I'm going to call this 011a underscore strings. Remember to add the .py extension. Okay. All right. So we've got a file open and let's create a string. I'll just call it my underscore str for my string and just say this is my string. Okay. Okay, so now what I want to do is find the length of my string. We can do that with the len function. So what I can do is I can find it and let's print it. So I'm going to print and I'm going to type len and then pass in my string as the argument. Okay, and if I go ahead and print that out, you'll see I get down below here, I get 17 for the length of my string. Okay. We can also print characters in the string accessed via the indices of the string. So if I want to print the first character of the string to the console, hopefully I can spell, I haven't had that much coffee just yet. I can do print and then we'll do my string and we'll pass in the index of 0. Python is a zero-based index language, as many other languages are. So that'll print the first character. So if we run this, we'll see we get T, which corresponds to the T in this. Okay. And all right, we can also print the last character of the string to the console. I should probably use proper grammar there. And I can do print and then pass in my string and give the index of -1. And this is going to print out that G. Just to confirm, we'll run it and we get G. Now, as a reminder with this series, if you do want to run it in the console, you can run it via typing the command python3, then the name of the file. I'm running it in an IDE, but you can run it with any text editor, VS Code. You can also run it right down below. And any other text editor, you can run these files in the console. So check out my first video about that if you have any questions. Okay. One thing I want to point out about strings is that strings are immutable. That means you can't change them. And we're going to talk about replace in a later video. But if I try and do something like my string at position 0 equals, let's just change it to a lowercase t, you'll see I'm getting a little warning here. It's saying, that might not be a good idea. But let's run it and see what happens. And we get a type error. And we have the exit code 1. And it basically says string object does not support item assignment. So I can't reassign this, okay? So that's going to throw an error, okay? What I'm going to do now is we're going to create another file, and we're going to keep talking about strings. And there is a way if I wanted to make it lowercase, so I'll show you that in just a moment. So let's go up here. We'll create a new file, Python file, and it's going to be 001, or 011, sorry, 011b underscore strings. Okay. And what we can do, let's create my string again. It's just the same string. Let's keep it uppercase. So this is my string. Okay. And we'll go down here and we'll make the entire string lowercase. So most of the string is already lowercase, but if we want to get everything to be lowercase, what we can do is we can print my string and use a dot. And you'll see that my IDE gives me a lot of methods I can use. I want one called lower, so I'm going to pick that one. Okay, so we're going to do lower, and we'll run this, and we see that the T is lowercase, okay? We can also make everything uppercase, so make the entire string uppercase. So, and let's print that. We'll do my string dot upper, okay? We pass in that method, and if we run that, we get my string, and every letter is switched to uppercase, okay? If the first part of the string here, and this might be important if someone just puts in text without capitalization, if you wanted to capitalize the first word, so capitalize the start of the string, well, there is a method for that, and we'll print that. We'll print my string dot capitalize, okay? And if we run this, we see that the first string is all lowercase, second is all uppercase, and the third one, even though I changed it here to a lowercase t, we have an uppercase T here. Okay, there's another thing we can do, and I'm going to make this capital here and this capital here just to illustrate it, and that's called swap case. So we can swap the cases of the characters in the string, and to do that, we'll do print and do my string dot swap case, okay, and we'll run it, and we see this is my string. The T and the S are in lowercase. Okay, so that's all I want for that file. I'm going to break these up into smaller little files, and again, I'm uploading these to GitHub. I'll leave a link to that repository in the description below. Okay. All right, let's make a new file, new Python file here. Let's call this 011C. Still doing strings. And we'll start with some string slicing in this video, which is important to know. So we're going to say my underscore string equals this is my string. Okay, and what we're going to do is I want to get just this last part here. So I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call my slice, and I'm going to slice this string, and I want to specify, so when you slice, you're going to do whatever the variable name is, so my string, and then within colons, you want to give the start index of the slice, the stop index or the end index of the slice, and then the step, how much you step through the slice. So the default step is 1, the default start is 0, and the default end is the end of the string. Okay, so you can leave some of those blank, and in fact, we will in this one. But we want to start with S here, so we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to start at 11. So we're going to say my slice equals my string. We're going to start at index 11. We're going to end at the end index. So I'm going to leave that blank and put another colon here. And we're going to step through with a step of 1. So I'm also going to leave the last one blank because we can use those defaults. All right, so if I print my slice here and run it, we get string, okay? So we just sliced out that string, okay? Cool. We can also, now let's print out the original string. Let me just show you that. And I'll run that. And we see we still have this is my string. So even though we sliced it and put it into this new variable, we didn't, the changes did not persist on the original string. Okay, let's see. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to reverse a string using slice. Okay, so I'm going to take my string and I'm going to reverse it. So, and I'm going to print it. So I'll do print, do my string. We're going to leave the start blank. We're going to leave the end blank, but our step, instead of the default 1 forward, is going to be 1 backward. Okay, and this is going to reverse my string. So if you want to use string slicing to reverse a string, this is a way to do it. So if you're thinking of certain coding challenges or something like that, where you have to reverse a string, this is a very easy way to do it. Okay. So, and you see, this is my string is now backwards. Okay, so we reversed the string. Okay, we can also jump in the string, so we can jump with a different step than one. Okay, so we could do print. Let's do my string, and we'll do the start, the stop, just the default beginning and end, but then we'll do a jump of 2. Okay, so if we do that, what's going to happen here is we're going to jump every letter. So we jumped the H, we jumped the S, we got the space, we jumped the I, we got the S, we jumped the space, we got the M, we jumped the Y, we got the space, we jumped the S, we got the T, jumped the R, we got the I, and jumped the N, we got the G at the end. So tie, sma, tig, tie, sma, tig, tie, sma, tig. Okay, anyways. So yeah, what you should be doing as you follow along is play with slicing to see what you can do. All right, that's the way you learn. So is experiment with this stuff yourself. Okay, so that's slicing. All right, next thing I want to talk about with strings is, and I may have talked about this a little bit in tutorial 1, but I want to continue with it, is escape characters. Okay, what just happened there? Whoops. Let's do that again. Okay, so we're going to call this 11, and we'll call it 11D underscore strings. And we're going to talk about escape characters. Okay, so start with my string. My underscore string is, this is my string. Okay, and we can just print out some various things. Print out various escape characters to see what happens. Okay. All right, so we could print, do my underscore string, and then we can print and say something like /T. This is my string, and this is going to tab over the string. Okay, so if we run this, we see that it's tabbed over in the output down below. Cool. We can also use a new line character, so we can say this is, and do a /n, my string. We don't even have to put a space because we're bringing it down to the next line. We just have to put a space here. And this is a new line character. Okay. So if we run that, we get this is my string is now broken up into 2 lines. Okay. We can also use escape characters, so we can pass quotes into a string. So we can print something like this is my, and then we'll do an escape character, a quote, string, escape character, and a quote. And now we're going to use the escape characters to put in quotes. Okay. If I run this, you can see this is my string, and then we have double quotes around it, even though we used double quotes for the string, and no errors are thrown. Likewise, we can do this with single quotes. So I could do single quotes for a string. This is my, and then escape character, single quote, string, escape character, single quote. And we're using the escape character to put in single quotes. Okay. So if we do that, we see that we have, this is my string. And even though the entire string is surrounded by single quotes, we still have the single quotes showing up here with no errors. Exit code 0, so that's good. All right, we can also use the escape character to put in slashes. So we can say here are some slashes, okay? And do a // // add in slashes. 4 slashes, right? Yeah. Okay, so now we've got the escape character. We've added in 3 slashes that way. Okay, so that's a little bit about escape characters. Again, play with it. see what you can do with it. And yeah, okay. So let's go to the next thing I want to cover. Okay, so we're going to cover index and find. So we'll do new Python file. Let's do 011e underscore strings. Okay. We'll say my string equals this is my string. And we're going to find the index of the string for the first occurrence of I. Okay. So to do that, we can use a thing called index. So we can do print my string dot, it's a method, so index, and then we want to pass in I. Okay, this is going to give us the first occurrence, so it should give us index 2 because we start at 0, 1, 2. If we run it, we get 2. Cool. We can also use my string dot find and pass an I there. And this is also going to yield 2. So we get 2 again. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, well, what's the difference between index and find? Well, let's pick a character that's not in the string. So let's say we want to look for an exclamation point. So we say my string dot index and we pass an I. Let's see what happens. So if we run it, we get 2, okay? Because we passed in I and not exclamation point, like I said. Okay, so we run it and we get a value error. The substring is not found in line 8. And we see we have exit code 1, which we don't want. We want exit code 0. So I'm going to comment this out. And let's try it with find, because the exclamation point is not in there. So we're not going to find it. See what happens with find. Okay. Now, if we run it, we get -1. So find will not throw an error if the character you're looking for is not in there. It will just output a -1. So we still have exit code 0 here, so no errors, but we get the -1 because it's not in the string that we're looking at. Okay, so again, you should play with those for a little bit. And let's move on to the next topic. Okay, next topic, we're going to talk about startswith and endswith. So let's create a new file here. Again, I'm keeping these short because it's little bite-sized chunks. You can pause the video and play with it a little bit, come back. Okay, so let's create a string. We'll say my string equals, this is my string. And we're going to check to see if the string starts with an uppercase T. So let's check to see if the string starts with an uppercase T. Okay, so the way we can do this is we can do print my string dot starts with, okay, and then pass in the character. This is going to return a Boolean value, either true or false. And since we do have an uppercase T and it's starting the string, we're going to get true. We run it, and we get true. Now this is case sensitive, so if I were to print my string dot starts with lowercase t, that's going to yield false. False. Okay, so if I run this, I get false for that one. Okay. Similarly, we can do endswith, so we could check to see if the string ends with an exclamation point. So the way to do that, we'd print my string dot ends with, pass in the exclamation point, and of course it does not, so we should be getting false. Let's just run and confirm, and we get false. Okay. We can also count the occurrences of a character in a string with count. So let's see how many i's we have. So what we can do is we can do print my string dot count, another method. We'll count the occurrences of I, and if we run this, we get 3. There are 3 characters that are I in the string. So first character, second character, and third character. Okay, I'm going to have a little sip of coffee, and then we're going to move to the next topic. Okay, nice. All right, so let's have a new Python file here. Calling this, what am I calling this? 011g underscore strings. And we'll go to this one. Okay, and we're going to talk about stripping a string. So we're going to say my string equals, and I'm going to do a bunch of spaces here and say this is my string, the period, and a bunch of spaces here. Okay, so that's a string that's not well formatted. Okay, and we'll have another string here which is better formatted. So this is my other string. Okay, and we're going to talk about just strip in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print my original string and do a dot strip. And what I'm going to do with the print is I'm going to change the end behavior instead of letting it have the new line, because the normal default ending is, you know, /n, a new line character, even though you don't put that in there. We're just going to do that. So the next print statement will stay on the same line. So then I'm going to print my other string just to show you what happens here. So we have a lot of spaces here. We have a lot of spaces before. If we print this out, you'll see this is my string, and then this is my other string. So strip took out all the blank spaces before and after the string. It doesn't take any spaces out that are in between other characters. Okay, let's do left strip. So what we're going to do is we're going to do print my string dot lstrip. Okay, let's change the end behavior here as well. So, and then we'll do another print statement. We'll do my other string, and we'll run this. And we see that we stripped out the left spacing here, but we didn't strip out the right spacing. So if I comment this out here, and then I run it, well, actually, no, let me not do that. If I just get rid of this, and then I run it, you see I have the spacing on the left and the right. But the lstrip does strip out that left spacing. So see, it brings it back there. Okay. Likewise, we can do right strip. Okay. So let's do print. We'll do my string dot r strip, and we'll change the end behavior of the print statement, and then we'll print my other string here, and we'll run that. And we see that we've got the left-hand spacing still there, but on the right, it's all stripped out. So these are jammed together because I changed that so they're all in the same line. Okay, so that's a little bit about strip. And we've only got 2 more files on strings, and then we're going to move to something a little bit more interesting. So let's do a new Python file, and we'll call this 011h underscore strings. Okay, and we're going to talk about replace. Now, strings are immutable, but you can replace part of a string. It won't change the original string, but it will change the output if you say print it or copy it to a variable. So we have this is my string, and let's actually leave out the period here so you can see a little bit better. And I'm going to print my string dot replace, and I'm going to put what I want to replace. So I want to replace string, and I want to replace it with cat, and put a period at the end. Okay. So now when I print this out, we get, this is my cat. We have that period on the end. But if we print out the original my string, below, we can see that we haven't really changed the original string. It's immutable once we assign it, but we can copy this in or print it in a different form. Okay, so what we could do is we could go down here and say my new string equals my string dot replace, and we'll replace a string. Let's replace it with dog this time. And now if we print my new string, print that out, we get, this is my dog. Okay, so that's the new string is changed now. Well, because we put in something. But once the new string is assigned, if we try and replace dog with string, yeah, we can print it out, but the original new string is going to stay as dog. Okay, hope that makes sense. All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about formatting strings and f strings. So we're going to create a new Python file here. We'll call this 011i underscore strings. Okay, and I'm going to create some variables. We're going to format strings in this video. Okay, but we need some variables, so we'll have f underscore name equals Tim, l underscore name equals Unkert, and age equals 46, which is an integer. So three variables, 2 are strings, and 1 is an integer. And in Python 3.6 and higher, so Python 3.6 and higher, what we can do is we can use f strings. So we can do print, and we put an f, and then the string. So this is a format string. We say my name is, and then we can do curly braces here and pass in a variable. So f name, do space, pass in another variable, so l name, and say something like, and I am, pass in string, age, years old. Okay. All right. So now, if we run this, we get my name is Tim Unkert and I'm 46 years old. Exit code 0. Notice that we passed in an integer into this using a format string, and we didn't get any errors. So it will, there's no mismatching of types here. Remember, we had to do type conversion when we were doing string concatenation. But using a format string, an f string, we don't have to do that. Okay. Now, before Python 3.6, so it depends. If you're using an older version, what you could do is you could do print and say something like, my name is, put curly braces, and I am, curly braces, years old. And then we do dot format. Okay, and then we pass in the argument. So f name, so it's a method here, l name, and age. Okay, so we passed in those 3 arguments, and now when we print out, look, the strings are exactly the same, regardless of which method you use. And this also works in 3.6 and higher, but you can use this one. This one's maybe a little bit cleaner, although, whatever you prefer. Okay. All right, so that's enough about strings. And let's talk about conditional operations. So let's do a new Python file, and we'll call this 012 underscore conditionals. All right, and let's talk about the basic format of conditionals. So the basic format is going to be if something is true, well, we're going to run this code, okay? And else, if it's false, we're going to run this code, okay? So, it's going to run the true part, but we could print, this is true, and print this is false. Now you'll see my IDE is highlighting this part because the way I've set it up, this code is unreachable. But so if I did run this, you'll just see this is true. But we can use this to check a condition that returns a Boolean value, true or false. Okay, that's the real power. All right, so let's go with a common example that you might see. So we're going to set age equal to 15, and we're going to go down here and create a conditional. And we'll say if age is greater than or equal to 21, we're going to print you can enter the bar. Okay. If not, we're going to do an else. And you notice the indenting here. Indenting is extremely important in Python, but that tells Python that this print statement is part of this if conditional, and now we're going to do a print statement down here, which is part of this conditional. And we'll say, get lost, dude. That's a bouncer. He's bouncing you. Okay, so now if we run this, we're going to get lost, dude. Okay. Now, and if we change it, let's say it's greater than or equal to 21, so change it to 21. Say you can enter the bar. Okay. In conditionals, let's go down a little bit further. In conditionals, we also have else if in most languages. In Python, it's written as elif, like that. So again, let's just use the age again. So we can say if age is greater than or equal to 21, print you can, let's make it capital here, you can enter the bar. We'll do an elif and then another condition. So age is greater than or equal to 18. So this is only going to be accessed if the person is under 21. So if they're over 21 or equal to 21, this will be accessed and the following conditions will be skipped. Okay. So we're going to print you can't enter the bar, but you can go to war. Okay. And then we'll do finally an else. And you can have as many elif conditionals as you want, but else, that means that your age is less than 18. And that's the only way it's going to be reached, this else statement. We'll just print you are a minor. Okay. So if we run this, we get you can enter the bar. If we change this age to say 19 and then run it, we get you can't enter the bar, but you can go to war. And if we change it to say 17, we get you are a minor. Okay, so that's a little bit about conditionals in Python. All right, I'm going to show you an old school coding challenge that's not that difficult, but you may have heard of it. It's the Fizz Buzz, and we're going to use conditionals for that. So do the Fizz Buzz challenge here. And the Fizz Buzz challenge, what you want to do, I'm going to make a multi-line comment here, is you're going to print out numbers 1 through 100, except when the number is divisible by 3. You'll print fizz. Let's make a copy of that. When it's divisible by 5, you'll print fizz. You're going to print buzz. And when the number is divisible by 3 and 5, we'll print Fizz Buzz. Okay. All right. So one thing I'm going to show you, and we haven't really gotten to it yet, is one for loop. But we can do a for loop in Python where we do for. We'll give a variable I, and we'll say in. And we'll do a range, and the range will start at 1, and it'll go to 101 with ranges, and you'll learn more about this in coming tutorials. But the range ends 1 less than this number. Okay, so we'll do some conditionals now. So we can do if, and we want to do the Fizzbuzz conditional first, because if it meets one of these conditions, it's just going to skip the rest. So if it's divisible by 3, and it's only divisible by 3, and we put that first, we'd get fizz, but it would skip this one where you printed fizz buzz, even if it was divisible by 5. Likewise, same thing with 5. So we have to have this one first, and then we do these two next. So the way I can write that is I can say if I, we use the modulo operator, divisible by 3, it should have a remainder of 0, and I, modulo 5, divisible by 5, it should have a remainder of 0. Well, then we're going to print Fizzbuzz, and we'll do an elif, and check if it's just divisible by 3. Notice my editor will move it over once I move to the next line. We're going to print fizz. Do another elif. So this is 2 elifs in the statement. Elif I is divisible by 5. We're going to print buzz. And then finally in else, we're going to just print the value I. Okay. So now if we run this program, we get the output, or if I scroll up here, you'll see all the way to the beginning, we get 1, 2, divisible by 3, we get fizz, 5 is divisible, we get buzz, fizz, up to 15, divisible by 3 and 5, we get fizz buzz, and we go all the way up, and we get 98, and 99 is fizz, 100 is buzz. Okay, so that's a way you might use conditionals in an old school coding challenge. Okay. One more thing I want to cover in this video is Python doesn't really have, it has this sort of ternary thing. So let's cover that. So I'm just going to call this new Python file. It's going to be 14, and it's going to be a sort of ternary. Okay, and let's just make a note. This is sort of a ternary. And we'll say age equals 22. And we'll have a variable, enter bar, and we'll set that equal to, now we're going to do the condition. So age is greater than or equal to 21. And then if that is the case, we say true. We set the Boolean to true, else we set it to false. And then we could do, so that's the kind of ternary operator. It's a little different. In other languages, you have a question and then a colon, but this one, say we would write it in Python. And then we can do like a truthy, enter bar. So if this is true, or well, really truthy, you have 1 or anything but 0 would be true. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, so what we'll do is we will print, you can enter the bar, and then else you cannot enter the bar. So if we wanted to set a Boolean value, this would be a nice way to do it. And if we run this, oops, do that. If we run this, I'm going to get, you can enter the bar because you're 22, but if I change this to, let's say 17, then we're going to get, you cannot enter the bar. Anyways, so that's part 2 of my tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, could you please give it a like, as it will help get out to more people. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, as it really does help the channel grow and continues to inspire me to make more videos like this. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure to check that out. Again, the link will be in the description. And stay tuned for part 3. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.